We're gonna talk about opening night live. We're gonna get there. We're gonna get there. But you teased me, James. You teased
I
me.
did tease you. I
What
teased you.
what game did you play in one sitting and beat that we would not expect you to play in one sitting and beat?
Well, you probably wouldn't expect me to play this game, but in one sitting, and I beat it. Plants vs Zombies Game of the Year edition.
You beat that in
Plants?
one sitting?
Yeah,
That was a long sitting.
yeah.
How long was it?
It was probably like 8 hours of play.
Okay.
It's
That's not
it's
bad.
like it's like seven levels, right? So an hour each.
Yeah,
level.
seven stages with like
Seven
10
stages
levels
with
of
with like
stage.
a boss fight at the end on the roof, which I like. So I never played this game. I just saw it in my library. And I was like, I'll just play it, and then I wanted to play
yeah.
it on my Steam Deck.
Oh.
Mhm.
And then so I was like, all right, let's just see how it is. The controls are ass, but the community saved it and like has a bunch of little mods, so you can play like easily with like a tap touch and hit the button.
Okay.
So then I was just like, all right, I'll just give it a try, and then I'm just playing on my Steam Deck, and then like 8 hours later, I beat it. I'm like, oh,
Hell yeah.
Hell
it's
yeah.
just such a good like passive thing. Like you're just like, oh
It's
yeah, plant
the-
this with your
The original Plants vs. Zombies is a fantastic game. Little slow
Right.
at the start, but once you, what is it, stage 4, I think is when you have mostly everything unlocked.
yeah when
and
you
that's when,
unlock everything, and then everything like
Yep.
it gets really nice.
and then
You
it
can do
becomes like, all right,
things.
what tools do I use here? Fantastic game.
I did not
I don't-
expect that would be the game that James beat. I was not ready for
Right,
Plants vs.
and I was
Zombies
like,
to do it.
just play this game. It's just like it's so
Well,
old. It doesn't even properly like work on 1080p. It's pretty, but it works great on the Steam Deck. So I
That's great. That's
Yeah.
so funny.
was happy about it.
The
Wow.
real game starts once you beat the game, James. Now you can start your Zen garden, where you
Right,
slowly
right.
grow all of
Oh
your
my god,
plants.
the Zen Garden was fun.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
like the
a little
Sonic
mode where
Adventure 2 little chia
Basic-
thing. Yeah.
You water plants and you get money and stuff.
There it is.
That's James's advice for life right there.
That's
What
life.
happened to
Plants get
Popcat
money.
Games? Are they still making stuff? Did they get bought out? Is that what
They got
happened?
bought by
They got bought by
EA,
it.
and
Yeah, and
they
now they make these little.
they make games
Garden
with
Warfare.
microtransactions in them. Plants vs Zombies 2 and the later subsequent Plants vs Zombies franchise
the
games are not as good as the first one.
Wasn't there
First
a
one's
third
pure.
person Plants vs.
Yeah, it's
Zombies
third
game?
person now.
Yeah.
Plants vs Zombies Garden Warfare,
Nice.
that's-
Of
which
course.
is a fun play
Great title.
on Call of Duty Modern
Yeah, it's like
Warfare,
I can see it's fun.
which is another video game.
That is Ted. It's actually
We've heard
another six video games. Only 3 titles though in there.
Five.
Modern Warfare.
3. There's a second Modern Warfare 3. Jesus Christ.
Yeah, it's 6.
Yeah.
3-2.
Yeah.
It's 6. There's 3 or there's 2 Modern Warfare trilogies.
Correct. Yeah.
Yeah, there's 2 Modern Warfare trilogies that are kind of related but kind of not.
Although James has played Modern Warfare, both of them.
Not all. Of them.
Well,
I think he's played all of
the
them.
most recent one, the most recent campaign.
So in if I have a question now for James, and this is important.
Well, this is what people are here for.
James, as someone who's played Call of Duty Modern Warfare once in 2007 and then again in 2018,
Yeah.
is it the same time period or has like 10 years gone by in Modern Warfare?
Yeah,
Like how modern
yeah,
is modern?
Yeah, it's
there's like
modern.
drones and
it's,
shit.
Yeah, it's nowhere. It's like
Okay.
not related. I mean,
So like
same people.
by Call of Duty
Similar.
4 Modern Warfare standards, Call of Duty Modern Warfare is Call of Duty Future Warfare.
Basically, you're right. It like in the sense like
Yeah.
if you're looking at it
It's
from
coming
Call
together.
of
Yeah,
It's
that
Duty
one's
making
called
sense.
Call of
Warfare.
Duty Advanced Warfare. That's called Call of Duty Advanced Warfare.
Oh my gosh, and that's different.
That's different. Yeah,
That's
that,
different,
That had
yeah.
Kevin Spacey in it.
It did have
Have you
Kevin
seen the
Spacey in
Black
it.
Ops 6 Omni movement?
God, can you
Yeah.
believe there's 6 Black Ops games? It blows my mind every time.
Yeah.
Can't wait till we're like in our 80s talking about Black Ops 32.
Yeah, yeah. It's the 9th Modern Warfare trilogy. All right, we're talking about opening night live. Welcome to Checkpoint of View. My name is Jake Burke. This is Ted Libby. This is James St. Charles.
Hello.
everyone. To the people.
Hello.
We're talking about opening night live. Ted, you watched a lot of opening night live?
Yes, this is Gamescom.
Gamescom in
German
Germany.
German/European gaming convention.
Where in Germany? Do you know?
Cologne?
That seems right.
That's
That
a
seems
good
right.
Munich?
guess.
I
Munich?
know. I think you're right. It's Cologne.
Yeah, I
think.
believe it's
They
Cologne,
just had
Germany.
IEM
Yeah.
clone.
Wow. Ted, that'd be a great poll. That'd be a great poll.
What do you think IEM stands for, Jake?
Intel
IEM.
Extreme Masters.
Internet
He just didn't even let us guess.
Internet Extreme. What was the I?
Intel.
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 Yeah.
Intel.
I just can't believe you didn't let me guess. That was kind of
It's
rude.
it
Yeah, yeah.
it is Cologne. By the way.
He were going to say something weird. He would have
Yeah.
to cut it later
Oh
anyway.
no, yeah, it's true. Wouldn't have made the cut. It is Cologne. Thank you, Thank you, James. So we opening night live. Jeff Keighley hosts. This is like another thing, like his Game Awards, like his Summer Game Fests. This is his like weakest, usually the least hype. I feel like he was kind of also setting expectations a lot throughout the recent weeks of what the show is going to be.
Yeah.
You watched all of it, Ted.
I did. It was a 2-hour
That's
show.
long.
For us, it took place during the day, but in Germany, I guess it was taking place at night. And yeah, I watched it live. We are not going to talk about all of the games mentioned because
There's a lot.
there was a lot. And I would say that even Jeff Keighley, his enthusiasm varied heavily.
That's so funny.
Because there were definitely some games in here that are just there to pay the bills. Like Genshin
It's not
Impact.
his show, right? Like he's just like a guest for the show.
I don't know
Correct.
that. Yeah, is he just the host, or is he also pulling in stuff for announcements? Because they've done Kojima stuff in the past at Gamescom.
They didn't. Do any good
I
ones.
believe
No, not this
he
time.
is the host, but he does promote his own
Okay.
stuff because he talks about the Game Awards.
Sure.
He talks about Summer Game Fest. But I believe he is technically the opening night host for Gamescom.
Okay.
I don't think he does anything else related to this week or these week's events. But yeah, a lot of games that were
Lot of
talked about. Some of them new, some of them old. Once again, Genshin Impact is having an update. They were in there.
Hell.
Yeah. Ultimately, though, I would say a lot of stuff that we weren't given enough to talk about.
Yeah,
The official show started with the announcement of Borderlands 4.
that started the show. I assume that ended the show.
Yeah, I
That
didn't know that.
started the show. That was the first thing that Jeff Keighley said.
Damn.
Yeah, but it was nothing.
He's like,
It was
everybody loves the movie. We're all hyped on
yeah.
Borderlands right now.
No,
It is
they,
taking over the internet.
they really thought things were going to be floating their way when they announced
Yeah.
this because it was
So
definitely first. It was literally like a cinematic of a planet, and then they like zoom onto the planet, and
It's just
metal
not
hand.
Pandora. Yeah.
Yeah, a metal hand picks up the Borderlands Psycho Mask, and it just says Borderlands 4. Not a lot that we can discuss
There
here.
it is.
So yeah, we won't run it down. We
No, we're
won't
not
do
gonna
a
go
full
deep
rundown,
like that,
but
yeah.
a lot of stuff happened. Yeah, it was interesting. Jake, do you want to start us off?
Yeah.
You had some hot takes.
I had some things I wanted to kind of talk about. There were some games that I thought were just kind of fun little tidbit notes that would throw out there. The Mafia, the Old Country game that got announced, intriguing. There was no gameplay or anything shown, right? Ted? It was just a cinematic.
It was so. We'll just jump to the end. Yeah, they. We'll talk about
the end.
Indiana Jones, which is kind of the highlight. But then, like after
Mafia
they
was the end?
finished, Indiana Jones finished it out,
Yeah,
and it was
that's what I thought.
obviously the most hyped.
Yep.
It's kind of probably one of the biggest games coming out this year. And they had some announcements that we'll talk about in a second. But then the show, Indiana Jones finishes, and it's like, wow, cool. And then Jeff Keighley comes back on and goes, and then we have one more trailer, and then it's just 30 seconds, like a picture of a Italian sunset, and just says Mafia, the Old Country. And a guy who, one of the devs was like, we're so excited to bring this to you. Stay tuned for more.
Cool.
I was like, all right. And then
All
the
right.
show went. And then Jeff Keighley was like, all right, cool. Thanks
Awkward.
guys.
But
was very weird.
interesting idea. Kind of curious about it.
Yeah.
It takes place in
Yeah.
like Sicily, Italy. So I think that's kind of cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, but there are some hot takes I want to talk about, mainly because I think we're at another interesting crux of Xbox again, which we're going to talk about. But I wanted to point out one thing that I thought was really cool, that I think is interesting. It's from the creators of was it Love, Sex, and Robots from Netflix?
Yes.
There's a short series anthology show coming to Amazon called Secret Level, which is going to be a short series saga of different video game IP short stories, in kind of this either not live action but like CG, almost like realistic take. But a bunch of different games. Thought it was very interesting. The list of games. Some are like the classic games of our time, and some are clearly like paid marketing things to try to make them more popular. Armored Core, Concord, which I think is like clearly there's like a marketing deal right there. You Crossfire, Dungeons and Dragons, Exodus, Honor of Kings, Mega Man, New World, Atronum, I think is how you say the colon one. Pac-Man. Then it said PlayStation Studios because it showed like Jin Sakai from Ghost of Tsushima, and then it also showed Kratos from God of War, like in the real world. Kratos was like standing on a street, like a New York City street.
With the actual like animation with
Yeah.
Kratos.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Yeah, he like
that'd
called
be
back
awesome.
the axe. The trailer actually looks really kind of interesting. It looks like it could be really fun. Sifu, Spelunky, The Outer Worlds, Unreal Tournament, and Warhammer 40K. So these are all the different IP that they're pulling from. I thought some stuff that was kind of fun was like, it looks like we're getting like a post-apocalyptic tale of Pac-Man where Pac-Man's kind of the bad guy. and the ghosts are like almost like humanoid aliens getting eaten by these robotic Pac-Man. It's kind of like looks like what one of these stories could be. There's a Mega Man one, so I'm really hyped on that. So I just think it was kind of a cool idea. Not a ton of details were shared, but Tim Miller was one of the Deadpool creators with Ryan Reynolds. He's like in charge of a lot of this animation studio as well. So it's kind of cool. Yeah.
And I believe the creators behind this, I cannot find like any studio names specifically, but I believe there are some genuine video game cinematics companies
Oh, cool.
or people working on this. Because like you said, Concord and Crossfire both definitely look like
Blur
they could be.
Studios. It's
Blur Studios. That's it.
That's who's working
and
on
so
it.
some of these may just be like they might just be making Concord cinematics anyway. Like that just might be their job. So we'll see how it goes. I think it's a really unique range, and I'm very excited to see that.
Yeah, I'm hopeful for it, but not. It could not be good. Like I'm not like thinking, but I'm very hopeful by the idea.
Yeah,
They had Keanu Reeves for Armored Core.
I thought it was for Sifu. Was it
No,
Armored
I think
Core?
it's for
Great in
Armored Core.
Sifu
I think
too.
it's Armored
Yeah.
Core.
If he could do Sifu, that'd be awesome.
Yeah,
but,
I think it's Armored Core.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
yeah. I'm really intrigued by it. I'm really excited about it.
Did you ever watch any? Is it Love, Sex, and Robots? Did you ever watch any of those?
I think I've seen an
Love, Death,
episode
and
or two.
Robots?
Love. No, I think it's
Love,
Love, Sex, and Robots. I think it's
Is it
Love,
Love,
Sex,
Sex?
and Robot. Yeah.
There's some really good, powerful, like short story stuff there.
Yeah. I mean, I know the studio is very well regarded for their work on that, like the 2 seasons of that show. So I think it's very cool that we get to kind of have the video game IP. I'm really excited for this Mega Man thing because it could be so cool.
I like the that this is coming. Well, not the Prime, but just like you saw that there's like New World in there. Like obviously Amazon's promoting their own game.
Yeah.
There's a lot of paid
New World
promotion
is
in that.
interesting. So, like,
Love, Death, and Robots.
Love, Death, and
Isn't that
Robots.
Love, Sex, and Robots?
Love, Sex, and Robots is a book.
Okay.
Okay. Love, Death, and
I mean,
Robots.
I'm very stewardly and knowledgeable, Ted. So I'm
thought
always
it was-
reading books.
Exactly.
I'm always reading books. But yeah, just that was one of the things I really wanted to point out. Thought that was very unique, not just like a game announcement. But then the big thing I think I want to talk about is Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle. It was announced it was coming December 9th, I believe. Yeah, December 9th to... I hit my keyboard, but nothing stopped. We're good. Okay. It's coming December 9th to Xbox, Game Pass, and PC. Coming to those December 9th. And then they announced that Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle will release spring 2025 on PlayStation 5. I think that's it, right? That's the dam now open. Everything that Xbox makes comes to PlayStation. This is their big game.
Not in official capacity, but yes,
But
this is a new game coming out on PlayStation within the year, I guess, of release.
Yeah. It's like gonna be like that 6-month window, probably like a PlayStation does with PC.
And so I was reading about this, and apparently that this could be some outside of Microsoft's control to a certain degree, because Indiana Jones and the Great Circle was greenlit when they were still Bethesda. And so the owners of Indiana Jones, which I believe is Disney, 99% sure it's Disney, might have had something to do with like, hey, we wanted this to hit all audiences. This cannot be an exclusive for you. We'll never know. Nobody will ever come forward and say that.
But we are seeing Xbox already doing this transition to putting Sea of Thieves on PlayStation and it being super successful and then being like, well, okay, clearly that's where gamers are playing. It's not on Xbox. I think going forward, everything's coming.
Yeah,
I think it's a smart move by Xbox. I think it's a smart move by every company to make your games as available as possible.
Sure.
I think it's been coming down from the top though. Like you could see it with Phil, like how he's like phrasing things. More's coming. Definitely, there's probably going to be limited exclusivity that we're seeing right now. Yeah. So even though you're going to get day one on Xbox,
and day one on Game Pass still.
Yeah. You can wait 6 months, but you're going to be paying full price for the game. So I don't know. And then also, like, let's say the game flops. I'm not saying it will, but let's say it flops, and it's like, okay, well, now I know I'm not going to get it on PlayStation. Let's say you played it on Xbox, and you're like, well, there's no point in me getting it on PlayStation. But I think the people who do own PlayStation, which is a lot, because I think it just surpassed like PS4's numbers, like, and it's a success.
Yeah.
But Xbox is making more money. Like, I don't see how it's a lose situation to do this. And the exclusivity hurts to a certain degree. Like, of course, it maintains your brand, like with PlayStation and Sony.
Yeah, like
and,
they're not
all their
giving it to Xbox.
All their exclusive games. It's like it's it hasn't been tarnished. And when they do release them like years down the line on PC, again, they're just making more money. Not as much, but they're still making more money.
Sure.
That's still a good thing. Like, you don't just keep. It's not. Nothing's ever forever kept, except Bloodborne, I guess. But
except for Bloodborne.
we'll see. We'll see. Like everyone's like praising it, but
no, I think that's a really good point. Yeah, I'm very curious going forward. Just like with Xbox strategy, eventually, are they just out of the hardware market? Are they just making games with all their game studios? Because at some point, you're just going to have an Xbox Game Pass app. At some point, like that's on some TVs, but it's at some point that's just going to be everywhere. And I'm wondering, at what point do they put it on PlayStation, or does PlayStation let them put it on there? And like, how does that all work?
What do you think about the digital Xbox Series X they just released for $500? Where do you see yourself with that?
I'm not buying it. I actually unplugged my Series S and put it on a bookshelf. I don't even play the Series S.
I'm not buying it.
Yeah, I'm curious because like, so I was thinking about this with Indiana Jones because it's releasing December 9th, which is like very end of the year. That's like out of the typical like game of the year window, right? And then I think it's going to come out like May on PlayStation. Oops, sorry. May on PlayStation. And that's like going to give it the second like game of the year. It's in the same game of the year window. And I think that's very strategic that they know that like this game is going to be heavily played on PlayStation to like boost that kind of awareness too and try to get that. Because I think that's kind of weird. They're not putting out in November to try to get game of the year stuff for recognition. We're popping off. So I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. It's a big statement because this wasn't announced for PlayStation for a very long time. This was exclusive to Xbox. So
they definitely pitched it to like, no, this is not coming out to PlayStation.
Yeah,
and that's why I think there may have been a shift. Like, why wouldn't they announce it like earlier? Like, oh, and then this will also come to PlayStation within 6 months. Like, that doesn't make sense that you announce it now.
Yeah.
Unless there was something from the top that came down.
And there are a lot of rumors floating around on the internet. You know, who knows how credible they are. Right. But that like Forza Horizon's coming. That Halo the Master Chief Collection is coming.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
There's like a lot of big stuff that should be coming probably to PlayStation, which is just crazy. And who knows how they announce that? Is that in like a state of play? That'd be wild.
On the flip side, I guarantee you're not going to see like major Sony IP going to Xbox.
No, there's no need.
But I guess like you see it go to PC, which is basically Microsoft at this point. So it's like I don't know.
Yeah, it's very interesting.
Yeah, to both of your points, I think that Microsoft it's starting. We are seeing the baby steps forward into them starting to put the box into the past of like we are going to be just a platform. They're going to be pushing this cloud stuff, right? Microsoft, the company, has a lot of server space for cloud gaming. And I think we're going to see them become like a subscription service. And I think that PlayStation is going to be 1 foot forward, 1 foot backwards. When they're like, we're going to be a box, you know? We don't sell discs anymore. You will always need an internet connection, but you're going to need this box. So we're going to have to see how that plays out for Microsoft.
Totally.
There was once a time where I was like, yeah, man, that's the future. And now I don't necessarily feel that way.
Well, they tried to make that the future 15 years ago when they announced the Xbox One. That's the future they fully pitched.
And discs are no longer the future because they can't hold 128 gigabyte games. They can't hold the media that's needed. Like it's all hard drives and it's all digital download. They're gonna save money and save space. They're not gonna hand out like SSDs to everyone to play their games. Yeah. Like it's just like it's a net negative for them. So everything's just gonna be digital. That's why they have digital consoles coming out.
Yeah.
Physical media for PlayStation 5 and Xbox is almost dead. I'd say like maybe you watch a 4K Blu-ray disc.
That's the only reason I have it. Yeah.
That's it. Like to have a disc is pointless because you have to copy it to the hard drive and download it. The update that's like adds an extra 80 gigs.
Well, the numbers were like over 75% of people last year bought digital games, to like 25% bought physical. It was something like that ratio is now where we're at. So it's kind of interesting. I don't know how much we have to delve into Xbox because we talk about them so much on this, but I just thought that was a really big turn of events that I think we're going to see a huge shift going forward. So yeah, I'm curious. Like I don't think they make another Xbox after this.
I think they make one more.
You think they got one more in them?
Maybe, I think they got one.
What do you call it?
Where are we at with technology? Like no one's having like 4K TVs. Like it's like that's it. Like no one has an 8K TV right now.
I wanted to ask you this, James, because you're a PC guy. You're a PC gamer. Right. Are we at a point with consoles? Like is the PS5 pretty equivalent to like a lot of the best PCs out there, or like can the PlayStation jump a level to be like even more graphically better? And
Yeah. PlayStation could definitely jump a level. I think PCs are there's some graphics cards that cost 2 to 3 times what a PlayStation 5 costs.
okay,
And so that's like right
That's the
there, like
problem.
telling you like performance but these graphics cards aren't doing 8K resolutions. They're not doing 4K 144 unless you're buying like of course the ones I mentioned that are like 3 to 4 times cost of PS5. My current one was one of the best ones 2 or 3 years ago, and it's doing 2K 144 FPS, and it can probably do 4K 60 frames maybe.
and so that's basically
So
what the PlayStation's doing.
that tells you where we're at, because I think that's also we're just behind on graphics cards and graphics
Sure.
technology. Not before where it was like, okay, here's 1080p, boom, here's 2K, and here's 4K. You're not seeing that leap or that 8K that like Xbox was pitching. Like, oh yeah, our
Yeah.
Xbox has 8K. No one has 8K. No one's gonna do 8K. The jump is not that big from what I've been hearing. Like, 4K is kind of it. We're kind of hitting the the max threshold on these. You're just going OLED or like just how
Sure.
something visually looks better. But we're kind of up against the rail, especially with hardware. So versus a very good PC versus PS5, and it plays like the exact same game, like PS5 might look better because it has like tailored
Yeah, it's tailored
games
to that
for
rig. Yeah.
the hardware, versus your PC, which might be chugging a lot more and may have more like frame dips and may have something else. But
Got to install those drivers. Got to do
true,
that.
you gotta update your NVIDIA drivers.
Yep, one of my favorite
Um,
things.
But yeah, like
No, I'm just
I
interested in
mean,
that. Yeah.
it's kind of weird if they do come with another console. Like, it's gonna be very, very expensive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so it's interesting. One of the biggest complaints of the PS5 Series X generation is that, and this is, kind of a contextual quote, but it's just like it's not a big jump like we're used to. Like the
Sure,
difference
yeah.
between the Xbox and the Xbox 360 was massive. And
Right.
a lot of times these console makers have coincided this stuff with like the release of the next resolution
HD,
monitor,
yeah,
right?
HD
Eight-
stuff.
yeah.
Yeah.
1080 what is it? Comes out HD, and we get the Xbox 360 and the PS3 to compensate.
Yeah.
And these aligned a lot more with the 4K TVs coming into people's households becoming affordable. I have a 4K TV.
Good for you.
But James is right. Like 8K is nowhere near in consumers' hands.
Cheapest TV is like $1,500 from what I'm looking at for an 8K
Yikes.
TV, and for the shittiest one.
That's a lot of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so like, when do you release a new console? Especially when like, if 4 years from now, when God of War 3 comes out, and people say, "Oh, you need a PS6 to play it," and people go like, "Whoa, like really? Why?" Well, I mean, we're
we
noticing-
need it. Yeah.
Yeah, and on the flip side of things, like EA just released Star Wars Jedi Survivor for PS4.
Really?
Yeah, they just back patted it because why not?
Yeah.
It's free money.
Honestly,
and
why not? Yeah.
it's free money. If you are catering to a PC, you have to spec differently, right? The
Sure.
Xbox Series S is a lesser console, and they're required to spec for that. So why not release your game to a generation that is still playing PS4 games?
They're still releasing Switch games.
They are still releasing Switch
Still
games.
releasing Switch games.
There were games in opening night that are coming to Switch, which I was like, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I read a theory that might have something to do with a pivot to an eventual Switch 2.
Switch 2 is coming like next year. Yeah.
Yeah, and everyone seems pretty confident that it will be backwards compatible, and that it's just going to be like
it's gonna have to be backwards compatible.
an upgraded next level Switch. But
Yeah.
I thought that was
It
interesting.
better come out OLED.
Yeah.
Because I just loved my OLED screen.
No,
I think they will at this point.
Yeah.
They'll probably have two models.
I think the international global market we live in is really interesting because we have people here on the West Coast who just bought a $5,000 computer to play their super games at max graphics, and then we have people in third world countries who are playing today's games on a PS4.
Yeah.
And like when you're a games company, you just want to
One
get
gen back.
you just want to get games in front of as many different people as possible, right?
Mhm.
So who knows? We might see a slowdown in technology where, Xbox is like, well, we just have a cloud, so
Yeah,
all
so
of
you
our
put that
games look
game out.
great no matter what. And then the PlayStation is in this awkward thing of like, well, nobody really wants to buy a PS6. What do we do?
I think they're
PS4
going to
released over a decade ago.
Yeah, isn't that crazy?
What What did?
PS4 came out in 2014 or at the end of 2013.
2013.
End of
Yeah, end of
2013.
2013.
Yeah, end of 2013.
And the Xbox One came out like a lot earlier than that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like almost like a whole year before or something, like 6 months before.
So you have decade-old consoles that are still
Still running, still
being
checking.
supported.
Damn, that's great. I mean, shit, the Wii gets Just Dance every year.
But can you imagine like being in the 2000s, like playing a console versus 2010?
Oh, I know.
Like the jump is not there currently. Versus
No.
2010 versus 2020, the jump is not there.
That was what people remember with
Technology.
with PS4 to PS5. That was like the big conversation topic that year. Was like, so when does next gen become next gen? And it's like,
Yep.
it's not. They're just like
I would-
prettier games. Like, that
Yeah,
was
I would
my
argue
expectation.
we're still having that conversation.
Of
You
course.
play The Last of Us Part 2, and you're like, dude, if you're calling that last gen, that game's incredible. Like, that game's better than
Yeah.
anything out today.
Yeah.
Which, Ted, you still got to play.
I do.
Ted, opening night live, you watched it. I want to know, you have some stuff that's been percolating. I want to know, what do you got for us? What are you talking about? What are you feeling?
So I'm just going to say that I'm a little bit bothered by the opening night ceremony in that there was a lot of stuff.
Are you just
of it looked
bothered by
really-
the ceremony?
Yeah,
Okay,
bothered by. Okay, there was a lot
long
of
was it?
trailers.
2 hours.
Flat 2 hours. I don't have the total number of games, but it was
There's a lot.
25, 30 games. And a lot of it was stuff that was like a minute to minute and a half trailer that ended really quickly with them saying, and we have more information on this soon. Like I watched so many things where I was like, oh, cool, what's that? And then they give the name and I go, okay, cool. And it's like, watch the extended gameplay footage later,
Yep.
like releasing in 2 days. And I was like, oh, okay, so I can't see it.
Can't say it today.
Which is a little bit of a bummer because we are skipping some games that might be interesting just because it was just like, we're Arc Raiders. We're excited to show you our game later this week. And I was like, okay, cool.
Yeah.
Arc Raiders is coming out, you guys.
And like, does that mean that it's for, like, the show's not for people watching at home because it's for the people there that are going to go play Arc Raiders or whatever?
Yeah. So Gamescom is, a lot of people still call it like the last traditional
Yeah.
like sales event where
like
like this is where a lot of European developers come together to like talk business, and like like video game distributors are still there going, hey, we'll buy 35,000 copies of Arc Raider for our stores, you know, like
Arc Raider.
so there is a lot of like business to be had. But yes, this was not like a E3 show where like everybody gets their extended 20-minute
Yeah.
block to really show off their games. But one game that did get to show off something, at least some of what they were showing, was Civilization 7.
Oh,
There's a new Civilization game. Yes.
Can I just, is this the one we finally pretend that we don't have to all love? Like, can we just like,
That's what I want to talk about.
yes, okay, cool.
Okay. So
Just a true take, James. Come on.
Yep.
I don't
Yeah.
love
No,
this.
I feel very similarly about this, Jake. I personally believe that Civilization has gone long in the tooth.
7, right? This is 7?
This is the 7th
Yeah.
Civilization game. This is also apparently, I don't quite understand the math on this, but this is the longest gap between a Civilization game ever, which I have to attest to like DLC expansions and like they have a
Right.
whole iOS release. Like I don't think it's
I
not
think
that
that's
like they
true.
weren't doing stuff. But Civilization 7 is coming out. We got to see the first gameplay, the first kind of people got to put their hands on it for the first time. I went into this very much thinking I'm over Civilization. Civilizations is a very smoothed edge 4X strategy game. I played 4, I played 5, and I played 6. And when I played 6, I went, this is a lot like 5. And
Yeah.
I am still confused by the same things. The changes they made were neat, but overall, this is kind of like an archaic board game that's like a little silly.
Yeah.
That is how I was coming into this.
I hate
just kind of
how
over it.
I was 6, and I don't know if 5 did this too, but 6 came out with core DLC. DLC that changed the core of the game, how
Yes.
you play it.
That is how
And-
all Civs have been doing that since. All of them really, but Civ 5 is the biggest one where people are like, "Oh,
was it 4 or 5? Would they just release like different empires, something like that, right?
no." Civ 4 had like mechanical changes to the expansion packs, and Civ 5 was very much a game where people said like, "Oh, this expansion pack coming out changes the game. It's good now." At the time,
Okay.
and
You
a lot of
gotta pay
people.
for it. It's paid
You-
paid updates.
Oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
James. Even though you have Game Pass, you're still gonna have to pay for that Starfield DLC. Okay.
I'm
The
not,
Indiana
I'm not-
Jones one.
I'm not playing.
Yeah,
the
you're gonna.
DLC.
Pay, yeah, you're
You're
gonna
not
have to
gonna
pay
play
for that.
Shattered Space? Come on, James.
Just accept the life we have to live, where we are
Yeah.
suckling at the teat of the DLC.
Please. You must play Starfield till you're dead.
I've already played the best DLC ever.
Oh boy,
I don't have to play any more DLC.
Are you talking about Elden Ring? Are you talking about Witcher?
he's talking about Dead or Alive 6.
Ah, yeah.
I've already,
You
I've
bought
already
that
watched the
bikini
best
pack.
movies. I don't have to watch any more movies.
I've watched all the movies I need to see.
I played all the DLC I needed to play.
I wish that was true. But no, Civilization, they have been doing that. A lot of people were like, oh, Civ 6 will get fixed by DLC.
Love it.
That never really happened. I stopped buying the DLC when people started saying it's not helping. Anyway, Civilization 7 gets debuted, and I do want to reference that Microsoft's Ara World Untold, which is their 4X game, they are here at Gamescom. They had a 30-second trailer that didn't show anything new. But I was thinking as Civ 7 gets announced, like, oh, like they have real
They have a
competition. Like there's like games have come out since Civ 6 that have put that game to shame.
Isn't Humanity like another Civ type game?
Yeah.
Humankind has come out. Not
Humankind.
kind of a bit of a flop. Not a lot of people love it, but the ideas there were fresh, and that's
Right.
important.
Right.
And so Civ 7 does their gameplay release the day after opening night. So technically, this is not opening night related.
That's okay.
It's different. They're changing it up, and I think I'm interested. I am in on Civ 7. I'm here
Damn
for it.
Ted.
What are they doing?
I know.
What are they doing? What are they
Yeah,
changing up?
what
The
they
farms are different. The tiles look different colors. What are they doing this time?
Tiles are, yeah. So I don't want to get through like a
Real-time
line
combat.
by line.
No, I don't want that either.
But basically, they are taking ideas from some of these other 4X games
Yeah.
that have existed, and like so now you pick a leader, right? Cleopatra.
Gandhi.
You know, that's the example. Gandhi, exactly.
And you deploy them.
And no, you don't deploy. I wish
you
you.
deploy.
airdrop
Warhammer.
Gandhi over Persia.
He
no, but-
hand walks the
so-
nuke over.
So you pick a leader, and that is who you have through the entire game. Your civilization will change underneath that leader.
Oh,
So you
that is
might
interesting.
so
I
like
that.
there's 3 eras now. There's like ancient, exploration, and modern. You might start as ancient Egyptians. If you find a lot of horses, you might get the ability to become Mongols. And if you keep going, you
Oh.
might be the first person to find and become the United States.
Oh,
And like
interesting.
once
That
somebody
is
becomes
pretty
the United States in the modern era, nobody else can be the United States. And the United States has specific perks and buffs associated to to So
Yeah.
there's gonna be
Yeah,
strategy
they
around.
never lose.
Yeah, so once
Yeah.
you become the
Oh,
US,
boy.
you basically win.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Makes sense.
Oh boy.
Now we know the strategy.
This opened up a dark road. But yeah, so that's one of their big changes is the civilization is now more fluid. Humankind did this. They said they wanted to keep it very contextual. So
That's cool.
the example they gave is you can only become the Mongols if you find enough horse pastures around your cities. You can only
Yeah.
become the Vikings if you're like in the
In
ocean,
boats
stuff like
or
that.
shit. Yeah, right.
Yeah. So I thought that
That's
was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Second major thing, you can still build out. Remember in Civ 6, they gone from like one city to like you build little districts and you build out a city.
Yeah.
I don't know if anyone remembers this. They're apparently reinventing that
Sorry,
system.
James just doesn't.
He's out.
I don't know anything.
You never played Civ?
James,
I mean,
we're
Put it on the
so
Switch.
like.
I played Civ 6, but like, I haven't played any of the newer stuff, and I haven't played it in a long time.
Yeah.
Okay, sorry. I just was
No,
so distracted.
they're changing the building system. So that'll be cool. I don't know many details about that. And the final thing they're doing is they have like diplomacy points,
Okay.
which they didn't.
I remember
I
that.
didn't
No,
quite
like
understand.
diplomacy, like
Yeah.
government.
Yeah, so they didn't. I didn't really quite understand how the diplomacy point system works. But basically, they said they want to get away from diplomacy and trading as just like a transactional, like we both benefit and then we go our separate ways.
Yeah.
So you kind of get diplomacy points throughout by doing certain things in the game, and you have to use them or lose them. And these diplomacy things can be like, hey, be friends with me and don't be friends with him. And you kind of have to force players into like making more diplomatic choices like that.
That's kind of cool.
Yeah, and so you can like you can spend your diplomacy points to like increase army morale. And like so they're trying to mix up the board game. And it was enough to convince me. I will be here watching for Civ 6 for its
Right.
release date.
Civ
I'm
7, right?
Civ 7, excuse me.
Yeah.
God. Too many Civs.
Too many Civs.
I
it's cool.
was I was sold by it. I'm looking forward to it. Civ 7
That's
coming
this
out
year?
eventually.
Or no?
I
No
don't
date.
know.
No date. Okay.
I don't know. Let me look it up.
The last thing I kind of maybe want to talk to you guys about. How's everyone feeling about Marvel Rivals? Yes, no.
I've seen gameplay of it, and it definitely looks good. Like
Yeah.
out of all of them, but I don't know if it's gonna be like enough interest for people to play it. Like when it fully releases, you have that game coming out. You have the Valve game, which I can't say anything about. That's coming out.
James is under
James,
embargo.
you have 10 recurring viewers. I think you can
James
talk
is
about
under
deadlock.
embargo.
I cannot.
I do not think he's under.
I clicked that check mark, and they banned that one.
I don't think
writer
this
for saying
Gabe's
anything
not
about it.
checking.
If Valve kills James, it's over for us. We have nothing.
Yeah.
I'm so
You
sorry.
got Concord coming out. A quadruple A classic coming out.
Quadruple A.
I'm gonna cut in real hit. Civ 7 comes out February 11th, 2025. So next
Thank
year's
you.
game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next year's game. Thank you. Game of the year for
But, yeah, Bar Rivals looks good, and but I'm just so over Overwatch.
Yeah. That's why I'm kind of intrigued by this. I don't know. I think it's free. It comes out in
It's free,
December.
It's good.
Yeah.
It does come out. I think it comes out December 6th or 9th.
Yeah.
I'm very lukewarm on it just because I'm kind of over ability team shooters
Same.
as a whole. And even though a lot of people are enjoying it, the combat does look very fun, and I think they are doing superhero team battle
Kind of fun.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they're doing it right. To me, there is just something about like dying, respawning, and then web splitting back into the fight. That I'm kind of just like, it's not really my vibe.
They showed a lot of like the big thing with this trailer was Captain America and Winter Soldier.
Right.
And like Captain America, he's throwing a shield, cool. But the Winter Soldier's just doing the same freaking jump move over and over, like in the trailer. And I was like, that's I don't think what you want to show the game is like you just do the same thing over and over at some guy.
I was watching that Winter Soldier going, I bet Jake's gonna be like bored by this because they're very much saying like, hey, we brought what's his face? Roadhog into this game.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
We have a guy with
I
like a
noticed
shotgun
that.
pistol and a grapple and like a body slam. Like this is very much like the
We have
things you
Overwatch.
like. Yeah, we have
Right.
Overwatch stuff. And the whole time I was just like, that's not what Winter Soldier is.
Yeah,
Not
it's
like
like,
a
what is this
grappling
guy's
hook.
arm? Yeah, what's his arm doing?
This is no bionic commando.
That's so funny that you
bullshit.
thought me. I literally thought I was like, what is his arm? But whatever, it's for a video game.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. I was literally like, okay, Captain
Jake's gonna
America's a
hate this
spaceman. He's a space ranger now, and
Yeah, that was
Winter
wild,
Soldier
too.
has a grappling hook.
Yeah. But I'm in.
yeah.
I'll play it for a minute. I'll try it
Yeah,
out.
the
I'll play
kids
it.
the
It was
kids
fun.
seemed hyped on it.
Oh, good. You're checking in with the kids. You're on the streets with the kids.
I'm checking in with the kids sometimes.
That's good.
On Kick.
Kid watch with Ted. That's where we're gonna start going to.
Nope, we're not doing that. None of that.
Uh,
Yeah, I got one more game.
yeah, please.
So Peter Molyneux,
Yep.
Uh,
Fable,
famed-
right?
famed UK game designer, game developer, famous for Fable,
Mhm.
accredited for most of the quote God games or God mode games, like Dungeon Keeper, and he's got a bunch of other ones that I honestly didn't know. But the concept of like you're kind of top down, you're in charge of everything. There's some kind of premise, and you get to do fun stuff. Peter Molyneux is coming out with a new game. He claims it's going to be his last game. He also claims it's going to be his magnum opus.
James, he's taking a boat off a waterfall right after.
He claimed that this is going to be the greatest hits of all of his games over his entire career.
That's incredible.
This man can really spin a yarn.
Holy.
But it's called Masters of Albion,
Okay.
Yeah.
and it actually I'm also intrigued by it. It is a city builder by day, action game by night. Interesting. Yeah.
Okay.
So you are in this fantastical fairy tale-ish world. During the day, you have this town with villagers and workers, and then at night, zombies come out of the ground, and you have to run back to your town and like defend it, right?
Okay.
But they reference a lot of customizability, where like you can build buildings on top of other buildings, and they kind
fun.
of get that like fairy tale-y, wonky falling down.
Oh yeah, I think I saw some images
Yeah,
of this one. Yeah.
Yeah, you can design like what ingredients go into the food that your villagers eat. So like if you're running out of food, you can grab rats running around and like stick them in the stew. Little silly things like that. God
Yeah.
games are very like goofy, right? One of the things they show in the trailer is you can pick up and reassign villagers with your like hand mouse cursor
Yeah,
thing.
like Roller Coaster Tycoon.
Yeah, exactly. Except like in the game, they show you pick up a villager, and if you just like let go of him without putting him somewhere, the villager just like falls back to back to earth and like dies. Like it's silly stuff like that. They also showed you building. You can customize like your defenders like armor and weapons.
Oh, cool.
And they have you like sticking a baguette on a sword, and like the guy's running around with a baguette instead of a sword.
That's pretty great.
Silly things like that. Then nighttime comes, the zombies attack, and they said you can possess any living thing in your town to control it. So you can possess the warrior to defend it.
You're
like
gonna
a
get
third
dragons and shit eventually. And
yeah,
stuff. Yep.
You can possess. They were showing off like you can possess the hero, who becomes a third person action game at that point where you're
Oh, cool.
spinning around killing zombies. You can also possess the said rat that might go into the stew, or like the chickens.
That's really fun.
It looks very fun, very lighthearted, which I think we need in a game presentation. Like when 25 minutes is given to 90s Call of Duty. It was nice to see like this lighthearted kind of a goofy game. I was into it.
Yeah, that's super cool. So does that come out this year? Is that like just a 2025 sometime when we're done?
I believe that is a eventually release.
Okay.
Let me find out.
It might come out this year. Looking at the images, looks pretty well polished.
Okay.
So, it says coming soon though on release.
Yeah, so probably not this year.
Just coming soon, no date.
All right.
Yeah.
Any other opening night live thoughts? I'm kind of all opening night lived out. I think we kind of covered most of the stuff. Dune Awakening is a game that exists that you will one day eventually play.
Yeah, right. That game looks cool. It looks like a game that I will never.
I'll never play it. It's gonna be too deep.
I'll never get into it. They talked a lot about what was it, like guild or clan based PvP, and I was immediately like, that's super cool. People who do that are awesome. I never have the social skills to like get into a guild and like
be a part of it.
Put that kind of work in to like show up every day and put work into the spice mines. But that was cool. In the Call of Duty show, they had a CGI animated Bill Clinton.
Yes, it's like
that was ridiculous.
History Bill Clinton.
Yeah, that was a little over the top. I didn't know we were doing that.
But they do that in these games. That's what Black Ops does. They have like alternate history. They had Reagan in the last one.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a bad Bill Clinton, by the way. It was not like a well-rendered Bill Clinton.
Lost Records, Bloom and Rage was the new Don't Nod game. The people that did the first few, what are they called? I'm so sorry, I'm blanking. Wow, this is a total brain fart. The games, they all do the magic powers. Xbox owns them now. The first girl like went back in time. That was her magic ability. The second one was like two brothers. The third one, True Colors, Stranger Life. What is it?
Life is Strange.
Life is Strange. There it is.
You got there.
Wow. All right, there we go. You all just saw how my brain processes things. Yeah, that was kind of cool. I like Don't Nod games. So, Lost Records.
Yeah. I saw that and went like, this is neat, but I don't play these games.
Yeah.
And I kind of moved on from there.
And then the last one I just wanted to call out was.
I'm sorry. That game is called Lost Records, right?
Lost Records. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. From the Life is Strange team. Don't nod. Dark Pictures Anthology, Supermassive Games, the people that made wow, I'm just blanking on all sorts of names today, guys, but whatever. They make a lot of these, the Monsters of Medan, they make all these horror games. This new one's like a sci-fi horror game, Directive 8020. Yeah. It's like a sci-fi horror game.
Oh, was
the Until Dawn game, thank you.
That was a Dark Pictures game.
Yeah, but it's just like, it wasn't called Dark Pictures Anthology anymore, it's just called like Dark Pictures.
It was just called Directive 820, and I went like, "Oh, is this?"
And then Dark Pictures was at the tag.
Is this the story game to Returnal that we're never going to get?
This is like the only studio that does these type of games, which I think is kind of cool, but they're really good.
Yeah, these are really good. So I'm excited to play it. This one will be cool.
Honestly, other people have tried and they've kind of flopped.
Yeah,
like there was a game that came out. There was a game that came out called The Quarry by 2K.
Yeah.
No, Quarry is Supermassive, right?
Quarry is. Is it Supermassive, I believe, or is it the people that took over?
Oh, am I mistaken on that? Is it not Supermassive?
Someone took over Until Dawn because they're like.
No, it's Supermassive.
Oh, is
Quarry
it okay?
Is Supermassive. Yeah,
and who's doing
all of those are Supermassive.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Oh, I did not know that.
Yeah.
The Quarry came and went. That game, as far as 2K is concerned, that game is a major flop.
Yeah. But Until Dawn,
you're right, though. I did not know that was the same people. Yeah, no one else is doing that.
That's so funny. I just thought that. And then there was one other game I thought James would be into, and that was Dying Light. They announced a new Dying Light game.
Yes, I saw that.
Yeah, The Beast.
They didn't explain
What
this.
is that? Yeah,
It's
what
like a
is the beast?
prequel, but not prequel, like a sequel.
It
to,
just
Yeah,
says it's a 20-hour adventure set in the Dying Light universe with a whole new area to expand, a whole new area to explore. And I was
but
like,
it's
Is
the
this a new
it's
game or an
I think it's the
expansion?
the first game's playable character though. So I don't know.
Is it? Oh,
It
okay.
seems standalone.
It is some named protagonist.
Yeah,
They were
it's like the guy from the
"So
first
and-
game.
so
the
and
first
so's
game.
back.
Yeah,
I'd hate the second game.
Yeah, it's not the second game because it's like the fact that he's back is like a big deal.
Nice.
I know. I
Dying Light.
wonder if they are pivoting because Dying Light 2. I think Dying Light 2
Like 2
was just too
sloggy.
just
It
too
was
big.
slog.
Just
Sloggy,
too
big and
Just
sloggy.
slog.
like it, yeah. I would love to give that game a fair shot someday.
You
I
need to
got
play
it.
The
If
Last
you
of Us
have
Part
it,
2 before.
we'll play it together.
Oh yeah.
Is it multiplayer?
Yeah, it's co-op. Same with Dying Light 1.
Yeah. I would play Dying Light 1 co-op, James. Remember that time?
Let's play Dying Light 1. That game.
That was a good game.
They're making a new Monster Hunter.
Yeah, I'm in. We're gonna play this
Monster
game.
Hunter
Yeah,
Wilds?
yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna
Monster
play
Hunter,
Monster Hunter Wilds.
Monster Hunter Wilds. I'm not a big Monster
Is it
Hunter
coming
guy.
out for Switch?
No,
I don't believe so.
I'll play,
No.
I'll play it with you then.
we'll play on PS5.
There seems to be 2 Monster Hunters nowadays. There's
Yeah,
like
there's
a
the
Monster
portable one.
Hunter.
Worlds and
like-
Rise.
Yeah. Well, Worlds and now Wilds are both. They seem to be catering more to like Western audiences, more PlayStation Monster Hunter, if you will. And then
Yeah.
we have like a very grindy, very Japanese, still available on the Switch, Monster
Handheld
Hunter
monster.
Rise, and they seem to be operating slightly separately. They're like 2 very different games, even though they came out right after each other. But Wild seems to be more like the Monster Hunter Worlds.
Yeah, I'm kind of in. I'm curious about it.
Yeah,
I want to play it.
I've never gotten into a Monster Hunter.
Same.
I've always been scared because there's a pretty hefty like commitment to
commitment.
like playing the game. There's a lot of like resource grinding and stuff, but it looks good. It looks like Monster Hunter. Looks
Yeah.
fun.
I think it'd be a fun game to try on our game nights. I think it'd be cool.
I
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Thank you so much for watching Checkpoint of View. We'll be back not next week or the week after, but maybe the week after that. We got some stuff going on: fantasy football drafts, vacations. Ted's turning 30. You know, times they are changing, as Bob Dylan's once said. But Ron Burgundy had never
Ted.
heard that song. We will see you next week. You like that movie? You like Anchorman? Where's Anchorman
Yeah, of
land
course.
for you?
Yeah, of course. Anchorman's a great movie.
I'm Brad Burgundy.
I'm Ron Burgundy.